that I have in the agenda item is the 677 that you put forward. I don't know if you had a different document.
Well, this is the one that we were issued last week, and this is the one that Clerk Walker sent us this afternoon.
Okay.
Staying on streets, when we get over to Fund 572, we went from 1.4 million to 1.8 million week to week, and the biggest change seems to be in debt service. Went from 250,000 to 600,000.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that specifically. We recalculated the amount of debt that we have to pay, and we took on quite a bit of transportation debt with both Simpson Avenue and Union Street. And Union Street would be the one now that we have that additional service. You know, when we were going into 2025 last year, we had to pay debt service on Simpson Avenue. And now we did a significant improvement to West Union Street, and we've got debt service on that as well. So right now, the 572 fund and that additional street rehab levy, in part, is helping serve that debt for both of those things. I don't like to carry transportation debt. I really don't. It's not something that is particularly good. You know, water and sewer debt you can manage, and you need to manage because you know, that's the way that you do capital improvements. We like to try to do transportation capital improvements by you know, external funding, you know, whether it be state or federal funding leveraged with a local match that we gather through that street rehab fund. But both the Stimson Avenue project and the Union Street project functionally you know, grew significantly in cost from the time we got that external funding to the time that we delivered the project. And, you know, there were a lot of demands on both of those projects as far as what the public wanted, and ultimately, you know, the costs associated with those with the inflationary pressures during the pandemic, with both of those projects, you know, landed in conditions where we ended up borrowing through the state infrastructure bank on both of those, and so now we're servicing debt on both of those.
Okay.
So my hope is to pay that off as quickly as possible, but ultimately that's the difference, is debt is now coming due on that West Union Street project.
Perfect. And the last one is under Water Fund. Last week we had supplies and services 36,000. This week it's jumped to $353,000. Line 740 636 Water Fund Administration.
Yeah, the document that I have in front of me is the one that was issued with the agenda on Friday.
This is what Debbie sent today, if you know.
Yeah, so you caught me, you know, in front of everybody here. I wish you would ask, you know, prior to this. So,
Well, I just got it late this afternoon myself.
I don't know. My guess is that's the general fund admin support. So both water and sewer, both of those proprietary funds have a certain amount of money that go in the general fund admin support that gets assigned to the 740636 portion, and then specifically in transaction class 300. So my guess is that's specifically what is going on there. That got updated here from last week to this week. But, you know, I'll do my best to sort that out and get you an answer prior to the next meeting.
Okay, sounds good. So a lot of this was just updating as you got more information over the course of this week is what I'm hearing.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Any further discussion on the topic? Audience? We'll move on to ordinance 121-25, an ordinance authorizing 2026 staffing levels, repealing all ordinances inconsistent therewith, and declaring an emergency. Be it ordained by the Council of the City of Athens, Ohio, Section 1, effective the first pay period in 2026. Authorized staffing levels attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference shall be in effect, and all ordinance inconsistent therewith shall be repealed. And then we have Section 2, Section 3, which is more verbiage on that. So we do this every year at this time. Any questions on this? Service Safety Director?
Sure. Do you want to talk about that?
No,
Do you want me to?
just go ahead.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Member Eisner. So there is one note related to the court, and specifically this is in the 2-3. I think it is in the 232 fund. Specifically, there right now is one, or it might be the 235 fund. Is it 235? Which one was it? Sorry about that.
Does this have to do with the email that was sent out
Yeah.
this afternoon?
Absolutely. Good, that one, 235. Yep, that's it, 235 fund. Right now, they're showing one FTE in the 235 fund. One of the problems with showing that, even though right now, that position is not filled and the court doesn't have plans to fill that position until such time that a grant, would come in, which ultimately that position is grant funded frequently. Is that if we go and put one on the books for that, then the auditor's office is compelled to fund the medical fund associated with their contribution, or that particular FTE's contribution to the medical fund. So what I'm proposing is to reduce that and keep it on the books as a position, but reduce it to zero, and at such time that becomes grant funded, that we come back to you and amend the personnel, or correction, the staffing ordinance in order to put that one back on there. And that would alleviate ultimately the auditor's office of having to pull and make the fund go into a negative balance, because they can't make it go into a negative balance. So that would be the thought. But what we don't want to do is get rid of it entirely and scratch it off, and then you say, hey, what do you mean you're adding a position? Mm-hmm. So, the idea would be that we reduce it to zero, and then once it gets grant funded, we'll increase it back to one.
Very well. Further discussion to council? Members of the audience? Okay. And we'll move on to Ordinance 122-25, an ordinance authorizing the 2026 non-union compensation, repealing all ordinance inconsistent therewith, and declaring an emergency, introduced by the Finance and Personnel Committee. And I will bring it up. An ordinance authorizing the 2026 non-union compensation, be it ordained by the Council of the City of Athens, Ohio, Section 1, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 731.08, power legislative authority as to salaries and bonds in the City of Athens non-union fringe benefits. City Council does hereby authorize a 2% general hourly pay increase for full-time and permanent part-time non-union employees. Non-union employees in a probationary status shall not be eligible for any general hourly pay increase. Section 2, the City Council does hereby authorize a one-time lump sum payment of 2% to those employees whose general hourly pay rate exceeds or will exceed the maximum pay rate in their pay grade, a copy of which is attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Said general hourly pay increase or lump sum payment shall be effective on the first pay period of 2026. Any discussion on this? Administration?
Lower than Social Security for this year. Trying to be responsible. Thank you.
Members of the audience? Member Swain? Okay. Move on to 123. I'm not going to read all of this. It's fairly long. Section 1, the City Service Director is hereby authorized to enter into contract with the Employees Benefit Service Center to serve as third-party administrator, TPA, to the city's health insurance program for the period from January 1, 2026 to December 31st, 2026, to include Exhibit A, plan listing, administrative service fee schedule, attached hereto and incorporated herein by reference. Said contract shall contain at a minimum the following controls, which are all available for anyone who cares to read the entire ordinance and contract. Any discussion? Again, this is one of these things that we do every year at this time. Seems to be the season that brings it out. Yeah, let's drop down to 2023. An ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to enter into a contract with the Employee Benefit Service Center.
Just did that.
Yeah, I just did that, sorry about that. Yes, that is 123.
124, we're on 124.
Yes, you're right. Sorry about that. I really do prefer paper. You know, it's been around for 1,000 years. And it'll be here long after we're gone. Uh, 124-25, an ordinance authorizing a group access loss medical insurance contract and declaring an emergency. Wherein the current contract expires on December 31st, 2025, be it ordained by the Council of the City of Athens, Ohio. Section 1, effective January 1, 2026, the Service Safety Director is hereby authorized to enter into a one-year contract ending December 31st, 2026 with Sirius America to cover the city's stop-loss excess loss medical insurance. A copy of the application policy schedule for group access loss medical insurance is attached here too and incorporated herein by reference. Discussion? Administration, anything to add to this? Very well. It's been read for the first time. Let's see if next one should be 25. Ordinance 125-25, an ordinance authorizing the payment of prior year expenses and declaring an emergency. Section 1, the auditor is hereby authorized to expend up to $6,000 from Recreation Fund 270, Transaction Code 300, to pay a prior year expense to ChargePoint for EV charging stations. Any questions on this?
Usually they request suspension on these prior year bills.
Do we need a suspension of the rules?
It's asking for it to be emergency.
Well, let's see.
Is this the bill that mysteriously appeared?
Yes.
Yeah, forget suspension.
Where is it saying I need a suspension?
I'm not asking for suspension.
He's not asking for it, but I'm
This
hearing,
one, Section 2 refers to an emergency measure. We probably.
well,
need
it's an emergency, but that's not a suspension of the rules.
This is the then and now certificate that the auditor usually requests suspension.
Okay, let's have a decision here. Administration, do you want to suspend it or not?
The auditor often likes to keep payments that are past due, whether it's the city's fault or the vendor's fault, to be paid rapidly. We don't have their participation this evening, but I believe the auditor would like this to be suspended.
Okay, do we have a motion to suspend?
I move.
Second.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. It's been seconded. Any discussion on the suspension and the reasons why? They seem pretty clear. All those in favor of suspending the rules signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Nope.
We have one nay, and but the majority says yes.
We don't have enough people. You only have 5 votes.
You're right. Nothing we can do. It's been read for the first time. Okay. And one more, 126. It's short and sweet. An ordinance approving a then and now certificate for payment and declaring an emergency. An ordinance authorizing a then and now certificate for a payment to ChargePoint in the amount of $6,000. I don't think we're going to suspend the rules on this, so it's been read for the first time. Member Wood.
This reads exactly the same as the previous item. Is there a reason we're doing it twice?
I didn't write the agenda.
I can speak to that. Thank you. So the first one is an authorization specifically, and the second one is a then and now certificate. So a then and now certificate is necessary when you don't have an encumbrance to in place against an invoice that is received. And so as this was a surprise bill, as we discussed last week, we didn't expect to get this. The auditor's office says you got to have a then and now certificate from an accounting provision because we didn't have it encumbered.
Does that make sense?
So it's backing up the same bill with the second piece of paper.
Yep, pretty much. Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's an accounting
It's not an
thing.
extra- yeah.
And it's specific to that encumbrance rule, the fact that you didn't encumber the money beforehand.
Member Crowe?
Thank you, President Pro Tem Reisner. I'll just note that this is also a pass-through. This is for the EV charging stations at the city pool where we've already received the money we receive monthly, but we then pay a portion of that money that has been received for the maintenance or the basically management of these EV stations and their payments. So this is something we pay every year, but as Member Swank has noted, the company did not send the bill for 2024. We've already paid 2025 because they sent the bill. They just didn't send it in 2024.
Let me ask this question. Are we absolutely, positively, absolutely certain that it is indeed the company that we're supposed to be paying the bill to, and we absolutely do owe the money? There's no question about that?
Thank you for the question, Member Reiser. I will make sure prior to sending the money to this, because that's a valid question that we've been asking, to confirm. This company's changed hands a couple different times over the last couple of years, and so when you get a random bill out of nowhere from someplace, you question it. And so, understanding we're trying to get money in place in order to do it prior to the end of 2025, we want to do that, but before we actually send the check, we're validating that.
Any further discussion on this? I think that concludes all the ordinances for first reading. We move on to announcements and other business. Appointment to the Athens Community Relations Commission.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Reisner. I am Council's liaison to the Community Relations Commission, and the Commission has voted in favor of having a new member, Ijeoma Idika Chima, and she is a PhD student at Ohio University and has an impressive background. I'm just going to mention a few traits. That we have a Master's of Social Work relevant to the Commission's mission and a graduate certificate in development practice, as well as one in global health and women, gender, and sexuality studies, and has work experience with our Voinovich School of Leadership and Public Service. So a lot of great traits that Ijeoma is bringing to the Commission, and I'd like to move that we support and accept the Commission's recommended appointment of Ijeoma to the Athens Community Relations Commission.
Second.
We've had a motion and a second to accept this appointment. Is there any discussion among council? I don't see any. Members of the administration? Members of the audience? Very well, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of approving the appointment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Ayes have it, the appointment has been approved. Next is opportunities for citizens.
Wait.
Okay.
Have an announcement.
Oh, you have an announcement?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a notice of another public hearing. Athens City Council will hold a public hearing at 7 p.m. on Monday, November 17th, 2025 in council chambers on the third floor of the city building. This public hearing is to consider a recommendation from the Planning Commission, case number 25-06, proposing zone changes for properties along North Lancaster Street 2nd Street, Columbia Avenue, and Columbus Road. Full text of the recommendation and a map of the rezoning area is available by contacting D. Walker at ci.athens.oh.us. This was published in a paper of general circulation on Saturday, October 11th. We have to wait 30 days after that point, which means next Monday, 2 Mondays from now, 17th will be the first business meeting, 30 days after the publishing of said notice.
Thank you. Any other announcements? Going once, twice? Okay. Opportunities for citizens to speak on legislative items and city services not covered on the agenda. This is your last chance to speak. Very well. I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned at 8:54 p.m.